So everybody should have this one out in front of them right now. Go ahead and throw it away. Everybody should have this out in front of them right now. We're going to go over it really quickly. We'll read it together. We'll talk about what you're looking for. We'll go through the questions. We'll take a look at those. Then you guys are going to work on it on your own. And then we'll come back together and we'll make sure we're all on the same page again, figuratively and literally. Okay? Wilkins, question. Yes, please do. The question. Absolutely. That's it. Question. Yep, please do. Okay. So I have Ellie's going to read that one. Then, let's see. You got a second paragraph here. Brewer, are you looking to read this one?
Yeah.
CD. Who wants to do this text feature right here with it? Ariana, you want to read the text feature? Ariana, you want to read that paragraph? Okay, so everyone wants to read this one. Andrew wants to read the text feature, this one right here. We're not saying that that is Andrew there. He's going to read it. And this last paragraph here, who's reading my last one here? Zoe?
Yes.
Zoe is reading that one. Who is going to read my other text feature over on this side? This is going to be a challenging one, guys. It's got some crazy names on it. Who wants to try that? Oh, as soon as Nick gets back, you can go, okay? Abigail? We'll put Abby for this text feature right here. Okay. And then as for the boys who want to go to the bathroom, Heston, you can go right after Nick comes back, and then Talon, you wanted to go as well, correct? Right after Heston. Okay. So first thing, let's take a look at this. We've done this before, right? This is familiar. You've done this before. There are two worksheets to go with it after we do the reading, right? The difference here is sometimes we're looking for different things. Like one time we looked for main idea. Other times we've done the ask and answer questions. Please stop distracting Talon behind you. Turn your body around, face forward, and look at what we're talking about. This time we're looking for text features, which Heston pointed out and Talon pointed out are facts, right? They're facts that they really want you to see, so they put them in these boxes. And they give you specific information, right, that they want to draw your attention to. So when you look at a page like this, the first thing you notice is, oh, look, there are little boxes with information on it, right? Well, this has got a picture. Then you look at a picture, and then Alex says that it got enough feet, and then, we go from there. Go ahead and throw that away. So, that's what a text feature does, right? Draws your attention, gives you important information in small pieces. Not just, not a whole paragraph of it, but a little bit, right? A few sentences here and there. So, look at the next page, really quickly, in our response section here, first response section. Now, it actually asks you to name 3 text features. Now, you see there are 2 boxes, right? 2 boxes, and one very clearly it says coldest place on Earth, and it shows you the continent and the place. And we'll talk about those. The other one has the picture of the penguin answering information. What do you think they mean by the third? Go ahead and go the other way. What's the third one, Alex? Does it only look like there are 2 text features here or 3? What do you think the third one is? Because it's not the main body of the text, right? It's paragraphs. Okay. What do you think? Any ideas? I mean, maybe it's part of the paragraph, but that's part of the main body of the text, right? I would say that's part of the main body of the text, the paragraphs, right? Ariana, do you have an idea? I think what the third one is, I think this is how you can explain this. I think that this one right here isn't just one feature. I think it's 2. The reason I say that is because This one right here, this is the one I'm talking about, has the picture of the penguin and information about the penguin. So I think you could argue that that's actually two text features put together, yes? Maybe? Yeah? Thumbs up? We're giving me a thumbs up. So I'm going to say that's what we could go for that. So the goal in that section and in the response page here is you're going to name the text features. You're going to say what they are here, and then you're going to talk about how the text feature helps the reader, that's you, better understand the text. So you're going to explain here. All you need is maybe one sentence here, right? Again, capitalization, accuracy, punctuation, spelling. What is the caption? No matter what. Now you're making a lot of marks on your papers. I've got some to return today about doing this on pages like this, okay? Another thing is, guys, the spelling. If something is spelled in the text, don't misspell it. I don't want to look out here and see, penguin. That's not how you spell it. All you have to do is go to the other page and see how to spell it. So don't get lazy, okay? I don't want you guys getting lazy. Go back. Make sure you're spelling it right. And again, one sentence here tells you how does that feature help you better understand. We're going to come through this and we're going to go through the whole thing together, but first we need to read it. But what I'm doing here is you're getting yourselves familiar with what types of things you're looking for, okay? So this one says use yellow. If you use a different color that isn't yellow or blue for these, it's okay. Just make sure that you mark it so you know what you're looking for, okay? Color every sentence in the text or in the diagrams that show how penguins stay warm in Antarctica, okay? And then it says what information in the diagram that is, what information is in the diagram that is not in the text. You're going to put that down here, okay? Here, color where the reader can find the second coldest place on Earth. That's a hint. It's going to be in one of those text features, most likely. Right? Good. And then you're going to underline 3 important words. Done this before. We're probably going to underline those as we read through it, right? Then you're going to summarize. Same thing here. Not only are you going to use caps here, pull that up a bit. Not only will you use caps in the summary, you are going to put on your caps and get ready to race. What does race stand for again, guys? Go ahead.
Restate, answer, cite, and explain.
That is correct. Restate, answer, cite, and explain. Now it says right here, complete sentences. Cite the evidence. Restate the question. I need to see both these things. This is all the time, no matter what. Please stop saying it. But this one is definitely something you have to do. Oh, turn your face. This is something you have to do. Go ahead. Especially when you're doing something like summarizing facts about something. This is a factual, informative piece of text you're going to be reading here. Okay? It's not just a story somebody made up or somebody's personal account of something, a narrative. This is a factual piece that's trying to teach you about penguins and cold places, right? Well, we haven't read it yet, but I assume. Jack. And what's your next one?
Can I get colors?
Yes, you get colors. Now, bathroom will have to go after towel. Okay. On the next page, same thing. You guys have done this before. I want you to write 3 questions, and then you're going to highlight where you can find the answers. Now, I need you guys listening to me on this one, okay? Because I really don't want to see a lot of questions about it when I come around the room while you're working. I don't want you getting so stuck on this one that you don't do the other pieces, okay? We will always be able to come back to it, but I don't want you spending 4 years writing 3 questions, okay? Remember, this one is also where it says write 1 to 3 words. You do not need a full sentence. That's just 1, 2, 3 words about the main topic of the text. Then you're going to write what the main idea is right here. 1 sentence. That's it. 1 key detail in the text that supports the main idea. Meaning, how do you know that the main idea is the main idea? Where'd you find it? How do you know? What told you that? Please put your toy away, off your desk. And then how the key detail supports the text. Okay? Hello? Hey. Yes, I will. All right. Nick, will you go ahead and go to the main office? They call it for you. Okay. Now, then it says find down in the text. Use the context clues to explain what this word means. Circle the words of the text that are a clue to the meaning of the word. Now, why did I have us go through the questions first, guys? Why did I have us go through the questions first, Jed? Why did I have us look at the questions before we read?
So we know what the questions are.
Yeah, so we know what we're looking for, right? So it helps when you see something like this where it says circle words in the text that are a clue to the meaning of the word. So you know what word we're looking for already in this section. And now you have an idea of what you're kind of looking for in the text, okay? So it helps you read. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to reread it. You probably will. You'll probably end up reading it twice, or at least parts of it twice, right? Because oftentimes when I'm making my way around the room, you guys are asking me these questions that are in the text. That means you haven't read it. And you'll say, no, but I read it 4 times. Well, you read it 4 times, you would have found it. Right? You can go as soon as, Talon, did you already go? That means Jack is next, and you can go after Jack. Okay, so let's now go ahead and read it. We're going to read it together. And again, like I said, it doesn't mean you're not going to read it on your own as well. We are also going to read it together. Keeping warm in a cold, cold place. Allie, go ahead and start us off.
Antarctica is the coldest place on Earth. In the winter, temperatures can drop to 127 degrees.
To negative 127 degrees.
Fahrenheit. But temperatures rarely get above freezing even in the summer. Lots of freezing even in the summer. Lots of animals like penguins, seals, and even some humans are able to live there. Despite the cold. How do they do it, especially the animals without clothes?
Yeah, how do they do it, especially animals without clothes? Well, that's what we're going to find out, right? I think it's a good question. Go ahead. So I think that's a good question. Now, I circled the word there that it does not have to do with what it asks you to circle below. I circled that because this is a really important context clue right here. Right? It says, some animals and humans are able to live there despite the cold. You guys know what despite means? Heston? You can throw it away. Abigail? Yes, you can go. Who knows what despite means? Use context clues. What does it mean? People and animals can live there, but it's so cold. How does that, how? Ariana. Well, let me ask you. It's super cold there, but they're living there anyway.
Does it matter to live there?
Yeah, kind of like that. It's despite basically means even though, think about it this way, guys, even though it's so cold there that it rarely even gets above freezing in the summer, people still live there. That's what despite means, even though, right? You're doing something even though. It's like, okay, sometimes here where we live, it can get to be 113 degrees out in the summer. But despite it being so hot, a lot of you will still go outside, right? You'll still go outside and go swimming, things like that, right? Despite it being so hot, you'll still go outside. Look at it.
Can we get a highlighter?
Yes. Okay. Now let's move on to our second paragraph. We'll come back to our text features. Second paragraph is Chloe Brewer. Go ahead and tell us first what the title of the paragraph is. It's a new topic. That's why there's a different bold. Guys, anytime you see something like this, where it's in bold, and it's right above a paragraph, that means you're going into a new topic. The main idea is the same. The topic of each paragraph is different. Right? We've got the same thing here. So go ahead and tell us, go with our topic sentence first, and then read the rest. Brewer?
Penguins built for the cold Penguins are birds that live in Antarctica. They have thick feathers that are small and very close together. The feathers have oil on them. The oil stops cold water from getting here and touching the penguin's skin. Under the skin, penguins have thick layers of fat. The fat keeps them warm.
Good. So let's see, they have thick feathers that are small and very close together. The feathers have oil on them, and the oil stops the cold water from touching their skin, right? And then under the skin, penguins have thick layers of fat, and the fat keeps them warm. So that's pretty important. So now let's jump up and take a quick look at this text feature since it has to do with penguins. Andrew, go ahead and read this text feature to us, the one about how do penguins stay warm.
Dark-colored feathers that absorb heat from the sun. Thick layers of fat under their skin. Not much blood needed in the feet, so warm blood stays in their bodies. Note penguins also
What does it look like? I know it's kind of small on your side. What does it look like to you? Huddle.
huddle close together in groups for warmth.
Good. So we just learned about 4 different ways. 4 ways here. 4 different ways that penguins stay warm despite it being extremely cold. Now I want to really quickly jump back up to where it said how cold it is. Because I didn't hear a lot of reaction there, but I gotta tell you guys, do you know how cold negative 127 degrees is? I'm gonna actually bet that probably none of you have actually experienced negative degrees, negative cold weather, because we live in a place where it doesn't actually get that cold. So even when it drops down to 20s, okay, so let's see, I think it was a few days ago, at night we dropped down into the 20s, and I bet everybody was pretty cold, right? There were some snow flurries. You guys were complaining when it was like 30 or 40 degrees outside. Everybody was huddled against the wall telling you they were hibernating, and you were wearing your jackets, and you were freezing cold, right? Okay, well,
Yes.
that was about maybe, actually I think at that point it was maybe it's in the 40s outside, and the wind chill, the winds were probably maybe 30s, and you guys were that cold. Now negative 127, that kind of cold is the kind of cold where you can't even have, your skin can't even be exposed, okay? Because if your skin's exposed, you will immediately get frostbite, and your skin will die. So, have you ever seen what frostbite looks like? I'm not going to show you, but no, I know you guys will joke about it. I think I got frostbite out there. Probably not. But real frostbite means that your parts of your body start to really freeze and die. So that's how people lose things, like lose fingers and toes and arms and things like that when they're out in that kind of cold weather. So people who are in that now, negative 127, I mean, basically you cannot even live in that. You really probably shouldn't even go outside. That's how cold it is. It's so cold. Colder than any freezer you can imagine. Yes?
When it says when the penguins have oil on them, do people kill them for oil for lamps or cars?
I think that's a really good question. Now, I think in terms of penguins, if they get killed for that, no. And it's not the kind of oil that we use in lamps or cars. Now, there was a point in time when there were types of oil that we get from living creatures to use for lamps and things like that. But oftentimes, it's not the oil that animals like this get killed for, like whales, for instance. It's the blubber, the fat. So it's not the oil that's on the outside, but the fat that can be used for sort of oil on the inside. So, for instance, folks who live in the coldest parts of Alaska, the native people who live there, eat a lot of blubber. They eat blubber. They eat blubber also because it gives them a lot of energy and helps them stay warm. and safe when it's that cold, right? Now, not all of Alaska is this cold, okay? This is just, this is Antarctica, which is the coldest place on Earth. Alaska, which is where I'm talking, where some people eat things like whale blubber, isn't that cold. Now, there's the idea that it does get really cold there, and it does in places, but not that cold. That is extremely cold. Yeah.
Could extreme heat like cure frostbite?
Could extreme heat cure frostbite? No. No. In fact, if you heat up too quickly after you've been in the cold like that, it can actually be very damaging for your body. So it kind of has to be a gradual thing. Our bodies are actually very fragile. You guys know what I mean by that?
No.
Fragile means that we're breakable, right? We're very sensitive to things. We're not like animals that have fur and things like that. We've got a little hair. Some of us don't have very much up here. We got a little hair. We have some things on our bodies that keep us cold or warm. Our body fur doesn't keep us warm. That's one reason why we have to wear clothes. Even our own fat doesn't really keep us warm. Not that warm, anyway. We do have sweat glands that keep us cooler in the summer. But if you go to places like Death Valley, when it gets so hot you can't even go outside, we're not going to be cool. We will not be able to stay cool in that kind of weather. So our bodies are fragile. So lots of things in nature can hurt us, which is why we've had to come up with things, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Good. Okay. So, if you have some questions, or go ahead and charge it. I have a question. You've been to what? Yeah. And you can go there, but when it's really hot out, you don't want to. That's one of the hottest places on Earth. Tell me.
People kill penguins for their coats.
I think there are probably some people who do, but they're also very small creatures. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't small creatures that people have killed for it. Mink, for instance, used to be a really popular fur, and they're actually very small animals, so you'd have to kill a lot of them to get the fur. So you don't see those a lot anymore because people did so much killing of that type of animal to make the fur coats that there aren't as many of them anymore. So this is what happens sometimes with animals. So we've learned over time that we don't want to kill all the animals, right? Especially nowadays when we can do things like we can make artificial fur. We don't have to have, you know.
And we can eat like chickens.
And we can eat other. Let's see. That's right. And at one point in time, chickens, for instance, chicken is super common now, right? It's probably the most common one, and beef in our country. Really common meat that we eat. But back in the day and in different places, well, not as common. And our ancestors who lived a long time ago, things like chicken and any type of meat would have been really special because we didn't raise them in farms yet, right? Now that we do, we can have chicken whenever we want, or burgers whenever we want, right? Or steak, right? Yeah.
Or duck. I tried duck
Duck
a
is
while
good.
ago.
So,
I tried duck a while ago. Now I absolutely love it.
and you love it. I think duck is really good as well. That's less common than chicken, but you can certainly get it. Jack.
My brother touched a sign in Death Valley.
They did. They touched the sign in Death Valley, so you said?
He put his whole hand on it.
Yeah, hopefully not when it was really hot outside. Go ahead. Tell me.
But if you kill animals, like the buffalo, they be extinct like the buffalo.
And it is true that at one point in time, too, when it came to buffalo, they almost were. They were very endangered because of how much... For everything, though. See, that's the one thing, though. There are certain cultures, like in the United States, we've got Native American peoples, tribes, who were actually really good at using all parts of the animal. So you would see that they would use things like the hide, the fur, right? The meat, the bones, the organs, everything. Not just killing them so that they could have a nice fur coat, right? So it was for everything. And of course, we did have to have things like fur to keep ourselves warm, right? We just have different technology now, so things have changed. Okay, so let's move on. We have got penguins are built for the cold. Now, penguins, they don't need a fur coat because they've already got things that keep them warm, right? They have their own feathers, the dark color. Their dark feathers absorb energy from the sun, and it keeps them warm. Then they've got a lot of fat, right? Kind of like this, cuter. They have not a lot of blood needed in their feet, so the blood stays in their body. They've got teeny tiny little feet, so they don't have to keep their feet that warm, right? And they also huddle close together. You know what that means?
Yeah.
You guys have seen them, right? You've seen pictures of them, yeah. Kind of like a group hug. They're all together. You've seen them in those little tight little groups, and a bunch of little penguins all close together, right? Yeah.
I don't know where I've seen it, but there's like real life people. There's like a bunch, like over like 100 penguins all huddled together.
Yeah, that's how they stay warm.
And then like these people have the station thing. One's in the middle of all of them.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay, let's move on. So now let's go ahead and let's talk about people now. Because remember, our first paragraph told us that people and animals live in super cold places like Antarctica, right? So I have Ariana reading our first paragraph here. Go ahead and read us our topic sentence first.
Keeping people warm.
Okay.
Not many humans live
We were just saying it. Antarctica.
It is a cold environment that often lives on There are two types of people who travel to Antarctic: scientists and tourists. They have both learned how to stay warm to the harsh environment.
And you see what it says? There's a difference there. They have learned to stay warm in such a harsh environment. They haven't necessarily adapted the kind of features on their bodies, right? Just because you go to Antarctica and you go to study there and you're there like every year, doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to grow some nice black feathers and get fat and keep yourself warm, right? It doesn't work like that. But instead what they might do is go and buy themselves some nice neoprene jackets that'll keep them really warm. They bundle all the way up, right? Protect their skin. Go ahead. So, let's go ahead and have Zoe read our last paragraph here.
When they are working outside, scientists wear many layers of special clothing. Many of the coats that people wear are filled with down feathers.
Underline that word, down.
And other birds. The feathers can keep
If you're not underlining and circling that information, you're missing out because there's a question about it. Good, thank you, and I apologize for interrupting you. Make sure you guys are looking at that. Remember what it said. You're supposed to define that word down. So I'd make sure that you're underlining and highlighting and circling. And it says the feathers can keep humans warm just like they keep birds warm. Thank you, Zoe. So, what we've learned here is that the scientists who go to Antarctica to study it, they're wearing coats filled with feathers, right? Filled with feathers because the feathers keep them warm in their coats just like they would if they were on their bodies. So they didn't have to grow the feathers. We as humans, we just learned to go ahead and put them into coats and make coats to do it, right? You might also see down pillows and blankets and things like that. They're nice and warm too. Yes?
I would grab like all my jackets and put them on my big one. Like, all
Yeah.
the way.
You would have to because it's so cold there. Okay, now let's look at this one. Abigail, go ahead and read us. Let's talk about these places. Go ahead and read us the coldest place on earth text feature. Go ahead and read the title, of course, everything else. And when you get to weird words, let's go ahead and try and sound them out. Some of them are going to be really hard to pronounce, okay?
the coldest place on earth. Dome in Antarctica.
Good, you got it.
What is Russia.
Another one is Bostic, Russia. But again, some of these aren't English words, so don't worry too much. We'll talk about their pronunciation, but they're going to be a little unfamiliar. But where's the continent? Tell us what continent these are on too.
The first one is Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Zone A, Antarctica. Antarctica.
Good. Keep going.
Antarctica.
Amundsen, Antarctica. You got it. Now that's actually, some of these are names of people, like Amundsen, people who studied there or studied the area, scientists. Please stop doing
Antarctica.
that. Yep. MT. What does MT stand for, guys? It's an abbreviation. It stands for something. You should see it because we see it all the time when you drive through one of our little towns over here. Yes. You know?
That's what it is.
What did you say it again? Okay. Does anybody know, Heston?
It means emptying a trash can.
No, MT does not mean emptying a trash can. I like your thought though, but that's also spelled EMPTY. Empty. Yep, MT stands for something. Stands for something. We have a town with a name where we often use it. Jack. Uh-huh. You see it a lot around here too because we have a lot of them. It's not a street. Tell him. Not you. Telling him to shh. Well, you talk. MT. Let me write something down on the board. Actually, no, I'll write it right here, and you can tell me if you've seen this before. Because I know you guys have seen this before. Yeah.
Mount Mesa.
So what's the MT stand for?
Mount?
It stands for Mount, and Mount stands for?
Mount Mesa.
Well, we just said Mount Mesa.
Mesa.
So the MT stands for Mount. We figured that. But what does Mount stand for?
I thought you said mountain.
Mountain.
Yes.
So here's what we've got two different abbreviations, right? So MT stands for Mount or Mountain. So typically when you see the MT, you'll hear people say things like Mount, right? So I drive through Mount Mesa and I say, oh, we're in Mount Mesa. I don't say Mountain Mesa, even though that is the actual name of the place, Mountain Mesa, right? But we say Mount Mesa, and you see it just like this, right here. MT period Mesa. We've got all sorts of mountains around here. They've all got names like that, right? Mount Cook, right? We got a bunch of them, and some really famous ones also in our country. But in Alaska, which is also part of the United States, by the way, Mount McKinley is an extremely famous mountain. Very famous. Yeah.
I know Mount Mesa because I live in Mount Mesa.
Yep, there you go. Tell me.
There's something here, but what does frostbite look like?
Okay, we'll talk about that later, okay? I'll pull it up later. Abigail. And also, Abigail, let's have you finish. Let's have you finish our list first, and then we'll come back to it.
Russia?
Yeah, that was kind of weird when it's Russian, so it's going to be a weird word. Olimyakan, I'm not really sure exactly how to pronounce that one. You gotta stop. And that one's in where? What continent?
Europe.
Yep.
And the next one is Europe.
Yeah, because the next one's a weird name, right? It's like Voikirovsk. Russia, I can't really pronounce that one either. I don't know Russian, guys. Sometimes some Russian names are a little hard to pronounce.
Where is the noise?
Which one? Burkoyags? Are you trying this one right here?
Yeah.
Burkoyags?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. We're probably close. Russia. Okay, what about the next one? Greenland. Yep.
In North America.
Next one.
North Greenland, North America. And the next one is North America.
The next one is Yukon, Canada, North America. So that means, guys, one of our questions is, what's the coldest place on Earth? What's the coldest place on Earth then? Right?
Antarctica, and I live in
This one right here, Dome Fuji. Right? I know, but we're not talking about Mount Mesa anymore. I know you still wanted to talk about it. I know, guys, you get your mindset. That's what I'm saying. You guys put those hands up. You get these things you want to get out. And then you stop paying attention. Okay. I love to hear your stories, but we also don't have, that much time. We're still going to get to some things. Okay? So, Dome Fuji, Antarctica, coldest place. Coldest place on Earth. You guys might want to take note of that because there's a question about it, right? There's a question about that one. So let me also ask you guys a quick question. Since we don't do a whole lot of geography, I'm also going to pull up a map. We'll take a look at where some of these places are. But do you think that Greenland, you've heard of Greenland before, correct?
No.
Some of you haven't heard of Greenland? Go ahead. Yes?
I've seen it on a map and that's the thing that's white.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He's right. It is white, but it's called Greenland. Have you heard of Iceland?
No. Ireland.
Ireland's a place, but have you heard of Iceland?
Yeah.
I'll show you guys those on a map too. Which one do you think is colder, Greenland or Iceland?
Iceland.
Are you sure about that?
Greenland.
Because I don't see Iceland on this list at all.
Greenland.
Greenland is colder. I know. It's weird because it's called Greenland, but it's colder than Iceland. Okay, so let's go ahead and have you guys go ahead and start working on this one. Let's at least try to get through. Like I said, don't spend too much time coloring things. You should have also been doing some highlighting while we were going through this together. Okay? But I do want to see you guys at least get through the text feature portion here. I think we could probably get through a good portion of the first page here. We may not get through everything, and we may have to come back to this on Monday. But I do also want you guys to be able to write your spelling word stories too. So let's just see how far we can get on this. We will work on it until about, we're going to work on it for probably about another 20 minutes because then I want us to be able to do some reading. Okay?